Alright, we have the triple spring motor from a 1908 VTLA Victrola. And has a little bit of a problem. It wasn't keeping speed and it was making a strange knocking noise. Well, knew right away it was the governor, and here we go. This is the governor, a little bit right here. Doesn't look all that much different from every other Victrola governor, and minor differences in the shape of the weights and such. Now, this is why it was not keeping speed. That is not supposed to happen. And the reason it was knocking is when that thing goes forward far enough, it hits the gear. Not good. And the reason for this is the little set screw right there. A little tiny screw, you see it, came loose. And that's how you adjust the speed on these. Actually, initially, as you tighten the screw. Later on, they had a little divot that they made in the shaft itself, the governor shaft, and that would hold it. These just tighten down, and you have to tighten them in a specific spot so you can regulate the speed properly on your speed control, which you can't see because it's on the other side of the board. Not that hard to deal with. We just have to set it again, tighten it, clean it up a little bit. We'll check the bearings while we're at it. Seems a little on the tight side, but I'll know better when I get it apart. Everything looks pretty good. Everything's greased up. Somebody had the springs out of it, you can see. They've re-greased it. Everything looks pretty good here. Nothing really stands out. This weekend, I'll be taking it apart and having a closer look. Cleaning up the governor a little bit and readjusting it. And setting the speed, and it should be fine. Pretty much the same. I mean, there's obvious differences in the cut of the gears. You can see that here. And from the newer machines. This is actually the very first of the actual Victrolas. 1907 was the first one. 1908 was the first year of full production. And they went on from there. Some people call these the L doors. This is a nice mahogany L door, VTLA. And the motor is sourced from the earlier Victor outside horn phonographs, Victor talking machines. All they really do with these is they extend the housing a little bit further out for each additional spring, and they've added 2 extra springs to the ordinary single spring motor. If you looked inside my Victor 2, you would find the same basic motor with only 1 spring, and the larger machines had 3, and eventually Victrola had 4 springs. That was years after this. Now, if you notice, it has a single spring can with 2 springs in it, which is something they would not adopt fully until 1917 for the Victor the Ninth and all of those. That's actually that spring can right there from the Victor the Ninth. Well, that's it. It's a minor problem. Irritating. That's it. It'll fix up. No serious damage or any damage done here. Just normal Victrola stuff. So if you happen to have trouble with your speed control of one of these older motors, or any Victrola motor, and it's making that knocking noise, stop what you're doing. Don't wind it anymore. Let it wind down if it will, or flip it over and check that governor and make sure that tiny little screw there. Let's rotate it so you can see a little better. Make sure that tiny little screw is staying where it's supposed to be, because they will come loose on any Victrola. I routinely find these loose, not loose enough so that the shaft will move. Not on the later machines that have a little divot under there, but loose enough that eventually that screw will come out the rest of the way and fall out, and then they'll have the same trouble. And you have to fix it or something like we did. Okay, that's it. That's the VTLA 1908 3-spring motor. We'll show it playing when I'm done with it. Not tonight. Got other things to do, but we'll get to it this weekend. You can see I'm using the shell of a Victrola the Ninth. Unfortunately, this is a nice oak machine that someone took a saw to, and they cut it down and took the doors off it and everything and made it into, I guess, some kind of a player. Maybe it had damage to the lid. Who knows what it was. But it can't really be put back. So it's serving a purpose. It's just something I can set motors in to test them, and if I flip that over, I can crank it out the front and I can spin it just to make sure it's playing. All right.